So I've only got 5 this evening, just letting you guys know. But yeah, we're going to do some mini past life reads. If you guys would like a ticket for next week, I will have them up. I will have my schedule redone by tomorrow. So make sure that you, make sure that you hang out, that you pay attention, okay? Miss April Williams, you are first. I am so sorry. There, YouTube, I looked like I was in the dark. I think I'm still in the dark on YouTube. I don't know what's going on over there. So a mini past life read is a little different than a full past life read. What a mini past life read is me channeling a little bit for you, looking at things in a previous life. The reason that you do a mini past life read is to figure out what didn't happen, what did happen, etc., that is affecting you in a deep level right now. Like I said, I haven't done these in a while, and excuse my hair, it has been a day. You know those days where you have your hair pulled up all day and you start to get a headache? Like, that's where I'm at. So it's down. It's down. Here we go. All right, April Williams, you are first. The only people I have on my list are April, LaGayla, Julia, Bitsy Poo, and Samantha Perez. You ready? Yeah? So, April, as I'm pulling your cards here, I normally pull like 4, but for some reason right here, you have 3. So instead of 4 cards, you actually have like 5. So the very first thing I notice about these cards is all of the numerology significance. 4 is a number of luck. 23 is a number of transition and change. 9 is a number of ending and perfect balance. The other thing, I'll show you your cards and then we're going to go through the past lives, okay? I'll tell you guys what. Here's what I'll do. My list is full for this evening. Or maybe I'm just going to jump on Sunday night and do them. I'm just saying. Just saying. So April, you start off with the Traveler, which is all about restlessness and appraising where you are. But then there are 3 powerful women cards here. Okay. The Traveler is neither male or female. This is a soul that is very fluid in whichever way you want to be. So what this tells me right here, April, is that your soul is one of those souls that you probably have an equal number of lives where you are masculine and where you are feminine. What's interesting about these cards here in the middle is that they're all feminine. They're all very powerful. I'm going to show you. So on top is Downcast Pride. Next you have Is This Me? And finally you have Revenge. Notice that these are all very powerful, very dark women cards. We're going to talk about the healing card last, okay? So I'm going to say that this particular past life right here not only is there a lot of really dark feminine power here, there's a lot of old. I'm going to put this probably early, very early to start of Middle Ages. The thing about this too is that there's a lot of betrayal here. There's a lot of issues of jealousy both towards you and then back. And then also with this betrayal, a lot of revenge that was never exacted. So the reason that this is important right now is because it's popping up again in your life. This is something you're dealing with all the time. There are 2 new moon cards here and then a 3/4 moon card. This is super, it's super intense because in this life here in particular, you were kept in the dark about a lot of things. And then when you found out the reality of things, this is one of those lives where as a child, a lot of things was hidden from you. In fact, I don't think you even grew up in the home you were supposed to grow up in, whether this is you being hidden somewhere or this is you being taken somewhere. There's a lot of old stone bricks, but they're not like what we think of as bricks. They're like this. And even the place that I see the bricks, it's like I see the wall. I assume this is a chimney because it's real tall, but the house itself is smaller. It's old. Like the place is super old even for that time period. But all I can see for some reason is this. There are these bricks, these big stone bricks. And the reason I see them is because I see like you as a kid, you know, the brick is about like this big and your hand is only like this. And then your hand grows throughout the ages until you realize that your hand is big enough to put on one of the bricks. So the bricks are grounding to you. So I would bet you have a very special affinity for rougher stones such as marble, granite. I would bet even some concrete. I would bet you like statuaries, like concrete pieces, because they feel like those bricks under your hands. You like that rough feeling. I'd also bet that because of this, something about this, just touching that makes you feel grounded. So I would bet that you have a lot of times where you have rougher stones that you like to hold and play with and so on. So if you guys have never watched me do a mini past read, if you guys have never, or past life read, if you guys have never watched me do a past life read, it's been a hot minute since I've done them. Because to be honest, they do wear me out. So I probably will start opening them up for appointments again, as in a full past life read. But yeah, the things that I personally see when I'm doing a mini past life read or a past life read in general, there are certain things that stick out as I'm seeing this whole thing like a movie, like a timeline. There are certain things that are very important. So if you think about it as a timeline like this, you know, you're born, you die. You have all these things in the middle. Some of these things stand up like that and they just kind of glow. So whenever those things pop up, they're obviously important. So I speak about them. That's why I'm talking about the stones. Stones are obviously important. But there's also a very deep air of having this almost like being oblivious to things as a child, kept away from everybody in a smaller area, away from cities, villages, etc. Like literally kept really far out and away. There's a big aspect of betrayal here whenever you're in your early 20s, 21-ish, 22. And there's no marriage here. There's no children here. There's I don't know what this betrayal is, but it's an intense, my whole life was not what I thought it was type of betrayal, and not in a good way. Not in like, oh, you're a hidden princess in the woods. No, this is you're hidden for some reason, and you find out when you're older, when you're in your early 20s. But like I said, there is something that causes no marriage, no children here. There's also not a very long life here. Okay, so let me say that. After this betrayal, after this flip-flop with the life, everything changes. Everything shifts from being calm and, you know, not around a lot of people, self-sufficient, etc., to almost a violent, continual fight type of life. So I don't know what this is, but it's not wanting, okay. My words are getting non-wordy. What I see is different. It's not something like, oh, you go to battle. Oh, you join some war. But it's not like that. It's like you continuing to fight against something you can't see. And you continuing to struggle and so on to get to one single person. And the person you're trying to get to is a male. So I don't know if this is father, if this is someone that lied to you, if someone that give you up, whatever it is. But after this shift, it is a continual movement, continual fight, 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 fight. This revenge is never exacted in this life. It's never, it wasn't received. You didn't get the revenge you needed. So in the life you're currently in, not only is the stone thing an interesting grounding aspect for you, but there is this need to always be fighting something or someone or an idea. So you are absolutely the person that is all about the underdog, that is all about the road less traveled, that is all about fight the power, etc. The other thing is this: you don't ever fully trust anyone. Because of this life right now, this is rearing its head in your life currently. Because of these trust issues right here and this deep, deep betrayal, like you felt this in your soul in a really deep level and never getting closure for it, there is something that's triggered it again now. So now you have this anger and this intense anger inside for no reason. You have this need for revenge against something that you don't know what it is. And you're kind of looking at all this anger and this shifting in you like, what in the fuck is going on? So I'm going to assume that you've had some major shift in yourself lately, whether you've leveled up spiritually, whether, you know, you've had some new step in your awakening, whatever has happened. It's been in the last week, because I think if I'd have done this for you last week, it wouldn't have been this. It's been in the last week. So I would bet this weekend you felt that major shift as well, and you've been angry as fuck about it for some reason. Here's the thing. We're going to talk about the healing card, because with you not getting this revenge in this past life, and with you having this severe deep betrayal, and I'm going to assume that the end of this life here that we're talking about was not kind, just because of the severe bluntness of, yeah, let me just say that, the severe bluntness. So this is popping up now because usually this is a karmic bond that you rotate around this person all the time. The healing card, I knew I was going to yawn, that came up is inevitable change. I want you to notice the wings. I want you to notice how it looks, okay? I just want you to notice the branches, the wings, the movement in all of these cards. The reason that this is popping up now is because whatever this shift is that you had this last weekend, even though you're pissed off, even though you're angry, even though suddenly you don't trust anyone in your life, you are at a point in your spiritual evolution with your soul to be able to let this go without ever getting this revenge. Does that make sense? Sometimes our soul is given the opportunity repeatedly to let go of this anger. This is an opportunity right now. If you can let go of this anger and take this change and appraise where it's taking you, this will be a big check mark off of your to-do list for your soul. I'm sorry that you never got the revenge that you wanted here, but I want you to look at things this way. You may not have gotten to personally exact this revenge, but someone did. Someone did. This person right here that you were looking for this betrayal, this male figure, I don't believe that he was here very much longer after you left. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So I'm going to say this too. Obviously, the universe thinks that you are in a good spot to let go of this anger. That's why it has bubbled back up now. I would bet that this is something you felt all your life, is this, I don't belong, even when you are in a room with people that you know absolutely love you. I would bet that you have had this knack for giving people advice about revenge when someone's like, man, so-and-so broke up with me, or my boss is a piece of shit, or whatever. Like, you are like, oh, you should do this. You should do this. Because your soul has had a long time to think about this. But like I said, this anger and all of this need for revenge is popping back up now, like in this weekend, because you've gone through a level up. I'm going to say this one last thing, because I got kind of brought back to the stones that I was talking about. I assume it's a fireplace, or it's ruins of some type, just because of the way I feel like I can put my hand on it when I'm walking by. Like, there's this one, I don't know, it's weird. It's almost like this one big worn stone that sticks kind of out from the others, and I don't understand it, but I have a feeling dream wise you've seen it before. That was your happy place, even though it was something that you considered a betrayal in this life. It was your happy place. It was where you grew up. It's where you were loved. It's where you were taken care of. It's not that you had a bad childhood in this life. It's just that you found out you were not who you thought you were. Okay? So April, this is an amazing time to do some past life meditations, to do some past life dream work. Y'all, I'm going to say right here, I don't ever recommend past life regression unless it is by a licensed therapist. And here is why. I don't do past life regression, and I would never want to. The things that people see in a past life regression are extremely traumatic. A lot of times they're extremely violent. A lot of times they are extremely, deeply, intensely hurtful. If you are doing a past life regression, that person may be good enough at hypnotism to get you into a past life regression. However, if you see something that freaks you out, that directly correlates with a major fear you have in this life right now, and that person is not qualified as far as trauma response, CPTSD, PTSD, any of those things, it actually can make things worse. When you come out of this past life regression, it can actually make fears, issues, depression, all of that completely worse. Okay? So I really, really, really warn people against past life regressions unless it is with a licensed therapist that deals with trauma work. Okay? Okay? Trying to help you here. Just logically, I want you to think about it. You wouldn't want to put yourself in the hands of someone that is not able to help you out of this trauma hole. They can get you in there, but they can't get you out. Okay? Don't do it. Because like I said, with this right here, the reason that this is coming up is because it's a good time for you to let go of it. There are some amazing YouTube videos that are past life meditation, past life dream work, like you sleep to them. That's what I would recommend. I would not recommend a guided meditation. I would recommend something with different frequencies so you can sleep to it. Okay? That's what I'm going to recommend here, April, because that's why this is popping up right now. I wouldn't stress too much about this life in particular, because the reason it's popping up is that it's time that you can let go of this junk that's been just gunking up part of your soul. Okay? And don't take it out on everybody around you. Don't take it out on everybody around you, okay? All right, Miss LaGayla. You ready? Thank you guys for all the gifts, and thank you guys for joining me for an impromptu live. I know I haven't done a lot of these readings and stuff lately. I've had a lot of focus on the expansion and so on. But y'all about to get a lot more readings. Just saying. Just saying what I'm saying. there goes LaGayla throwing cards at me too. I was going to schedule these for next week as well, but something in my gut's telling me to wait just a minute, so we're going to wait. All right, you ready? It's funny you have two cards here with the last quarter moon on them and one with the new moon. So you start off with the thinker, which is knowledge and instruction. But then you also pulled three cards here because you wanted to throw them at me. So the first one is envious gluttony. And then you had these two come out together. So underneath you have fated to suffer, and on top you have perchance to dream. Okay? What it is, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this here. This is the divine feminine. Okay? So with this one in particular, there is a lot of military themed, but this is not anything modern. This is more I'm going to say more pre-World War I, right before the big kickoff of that. And I would say that this is probably in Europe, probably in Lower France. I don't know. It's interesting. So sometimes, like I said, when I see the timeline, certain things glow. I see nothing about your childhood in this life. Absolutely nothing. Just like you're born and then bam, you're 19. Like there's just nothing. So I'm going to assume that your childhood was very uneventful in this life here in particular. In this one, you were born a man and you are the third son. There's also something about your height. You are much taller either than your two older brothers or your dad or all three of them. Something about it. You are like the beanpole, very tall, lanky, skinny, etc. What's interesting about this is being the third son, but not the baby of the family. You are the forgotten son, basically. You are not the whipping boy, not the favorite, and not the baby. You are just forgotten about. So you always are a little envious of the brothers. So when you hit an age where you're supposed to be finding a wife, getting married, deciding, what you're going to do for the rest of your life or whatever, there's a lot of jealousy because, like I said, you literally are left behind here. You make the decision to leave your family in lieu of traveling to a school to learn. There's also a lot of intelligence here. There's a lot of need to learn and just continue learning. That was your favorite thing to do, is learn. With this one, I see a couple of ladies around you, but there's no marriage. There are two one that stays for a very long time, and then there's a period of nothing, and then there's another one that comes in that stays with you until the end, but there's never a marriage here. There's never a marriage here. For some reason, something in this, you just could not have children in this life. The one I'm talking about here. So in the life you're currently in, and I would bet this affected you in between as well, you like children. You might joke that you don't, but you actually do. You like children. And this life here that we're talking about, you like children as well. But because you could not have them for some reason, you threw yourself into learning. It's almost like being the forgotten child and never having your inner child healed in this life here, and then never being able to have a child of your own. There's also something interesting, like as I'm focusing on the learning part here, as I'm focusing on you with the books, and I can even smell the leather and the linen book pages. Like I can smell it. This is a very old library, but there's something in it where I feel like my head is doing this. Like it's a weird pain here. So I assume you have something such as a lot of headaches, maybe epilepsy, something like that, because it's all right here. And it's only when I start to think about learning and putting things in your brain. So I would bet that you also have this problem now. I would bet you also have this problem now. Every time you get really deep into a subject, it's almost like you have this interesting thing right here on the right that it just kind of feels like somebody's doing this, just pushing your skull in a little bit. When that happens, from this point on, I want you to try a little experiment. When you're reading, when you're learning something and you feel that weird pressure right here, acknowledge it. Acknowledge it. Like, I don't know. I mean, if you're by yourself, say something out loud or whatever, but acknowledge it. Acknowledge that it's there and that it's not actually yours in now. It's from a long time ago. The reason that you strive to just learn all the things, the reason that you have more books than you could ever possibly read, the reason you take classes, the reason that your classes and your knowledge learning is like all over the fucking place, is because you could not get enough learning here. You also carry something else over from this life into the life now, and that is you kind of feel like you are the martyr. You are the one that was fated to suffer through all of this. And this life here, you were the only son that never had children. You were the only son that didn't live by the family. You were the only son that didn't do what dad did. I have the feeling that with the military aspect of this, that dad is a soldier or something like that. But you didn't want anything to do with any of that. So you feel like by choosing that path, you were kind of fated to always have the bad shit. And so you kind of carry that belief now in your life now. So here's what I'm going to say about that. This is not yours. Okay? It's not yours. It was yours in a past life. It's not yours now. So you are not the whipping boy in this life. You are not the one that's fated to be forgotten or suffer. That's not yours. Okay? So that is something else when it rears its head, then all you have to do is just kind of acknowledge it and say, look, this is not my feeling. This is not my feeling. Because if you acknowledge that this is not your feeling, and that this feeling of abandonment and being left behind and just always looked over is not yours, it's easier for you to just kind of let it be, let it go. You know what I mean? The divine feminine aspect over here, or the feminine divine, excuse me. This right here, it's something you struggle with in this life. That's why this is popping up. You are having some issue lately. I would say in the last couple of weeks, there is a lot of dual significance. I would bet in the last couple of weeks, you've had a lot of things pop up where you just did not feel like your feminine self. You don't feel like yourself. You don't feel very feminine. You don't feel like you connect with that stuff. You just don't feel it. Every woman goes through this, where there are times we just don't feel very girly, but this is beyond that normal little thing. This is beyond that. This is like a deep, intense, like, what the fuck is wrong with me right now thing. And I bet that you've been feeling this really intense need to hermit yourself. Now, dudes go through this too. Dudes also go through this aspect where there are times they don't really feel like a dude. They don't feel very manly. They don't feel very dude-like. Like the rug is not tying the room together, kind of like I'm not feeling myself. We all go through it, okay? But this is a very, very deep-seated not being connected to your feminine self. So here's what I'm going to recommend, LaGayla. First of all, let me say this. You lived a very long life. You lived a very long life. You learned so much. You became an amazing elder that continued to teach a couple of generations of students. Almost a philosopher level, but more of a thirst for knowledge here. You're always going to carry that thirst for knowledge, and never, ever, ever would I tell you to get rid of that, because everybody should have this need, this thirst for knowledge. But with this feminine divine card popping up, I would do some work with your sacral chakra. Just because in this life, you weren't born a man. Because in this life, you have kids. Because in this life, you're loved and you're wanted and you're happy. This feeling of not being you, I absolutely would work on your sacral chakra. Some of the best ways to do this are to listen to some of the frequencies that are specifically for the sacral chakra, to do some meditative work for the sacral chakra. A lot of people can't do the meditative work because they don't want to sit still. I totally get that. My brain won't let me sit still lately either. But there are other things like garnet, carnelian. I know that those are red, those are root chakra, but garnet and carnelian both are very intense feminine stone. Pink Botswana agate is also another very intense feminine stone. Working with stones that are very feminine, that are very empowering like that, that's what you need to be doing right now, okay? I would be carrying something, one of those stones that I just named with you. I'd have it by your bed, and I'd be doing a lot of sacral chakra work. Connecting back to yourself, to this divine feminine. And dude, give yourself time to learn. Don't let this jealousy pop up about, well, you know, I know so-and-so and they haven't been doing this as long as I have, and I feel like they're farther ahead, or looking at someone else and going, man, I wish I could do that. Don't let that jealousy pop up. Just continue to be the thinker and connect back to your divine feminine. That's what's affecting you from this life here. It wasn't really like a horrible life. It's just that you felt like you were looked over. Does that make sense? You felt like you were looked over. But all in all, like, this wasn't a horrible life. Like, you lived a very long life. Was it cushy? No. Was it poor? No. It was kind of in the middle. You had everything you needed because you just taught continually. You learned and you taught. That was your whole life. So that's kind of what you're trying to get back to now. You kind of missed that aspect a little bit, but connect back to your sacral chakra. It'll help you tremendously with this. Okay? Good. I'm glad that makes sense. I'm glad that makes sense. Yeah, if you have some carnelian, I would say that carnelian would be that would be my first choice. Garnet would be my second. Pink Botswana agate is something that is fantastic. Julia, I'm on you, and you had like 4 cards try to come out just now, girl. You, just saying, those are my anchor cards. But Pink Botswana agate is wonderful to connect back to your femininity. But I would say that that one in particular would be a good one to have next to your bed. Okay, good. Good, good, good. I don't know why, but I feel like I need to ask you, LaGayla, before you jet. That's too many cards. So I've got to describe these before you say anything. But for some reason, in my head, I keep feeling like I need to mention this. There's a pair of blue overalls, but they're not denim overalls. They're like, I feel like they belong on a stuffed animal, and I don't know why, because like they're this bright blue material and they curve out at the hips like this, and it has little bitty legs. So I feel like it's either a baby or it's a stuffed animal. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what the blue overalls are, but they're super, super bright, and they're just material. They're not denim. I don't know what that is or if that even makes any sense. But before I got off of here, that I needed to say whatever the fuck that is. Whatever that is. All right. Donna, is that you? You think you know? Okay. I don't know. So I was like, okay, it kept like popping up. So I was like, okay. Like, give me a chance and I'll fucking say the thing, but you gotta let me have the chance. So, okay. No. No. Yeah. I don't think so. Donna, is that you? How are you feeling, sweet pea? Our lovely Donna had surgery on her foot this morning. A pretty long surgery, so we've been kind of worried about her sweet self. So if you guys would send all the love to Miss Donna there. I'm glad. Is Hannah letting you rest? Oh. Just so you guys know, Donna has the cutest fucking baby monkey. I'm just saying. My child is intensely jealous. All right, Miss Julia, you ready? So I have Julia, then Bitsy, then Samantha, and then a weird little bug crawling on my computer screen. That's what I get for leaving my door open a while ago when I was outside. Thank you, Lisa Marie. All right, Miss Julia. Lots of 1s and 3s. 30, 10, 11, 13, and 3. You are super struggling with who you are and kind of your identity right now is okay. All right. So you start off with Anubis, which is preservation. It's also activation. Then here you have 3 cards. You have Calling the Storm, the Colorless Angel, and Addicted. The reason that I say that you're feeling super disconnected from self is that the healing cards that popped up here are the Flower of Life, and you have 2. You also have the one that I'm going to throw on the floor, which is Love Frequency. And this is Self-Love. This is a really cool card, by the way. But every single one of those cards has a number 1 or the number 3 in it. All different moon phases, but both of them are, there is a quarter moon. Okay. So in this one in particular, here's why you're having such a problem right now, struggling with your identity and who you are. I have a feeling that you've probably always struggled with this, and it's because this life here was a life directly before this one. You are absolutely a thinker, and you take a long time in between lives. So even though this one in particular, for some reason, ended in 1923, we're just going to say that because that was a very specific number. That, okay. So I don't know if you're here, Julia, or if you're watching this on YouTube, but sometimes when I do these, I get very specific things, such as the stone, that April had, and the overalls and so on. But with this, there are very specific things that just popped up. Okay. First of all was 1923. Second of all, let me just say this. There is something about a fall, dying in a fall. And then third of all, the name Franklin, and the last name starts with SCH. So this is totally like an accident. There's nothing like foul play or anything here. It literally was just an accident, but this is something that happened to you at work. You have an intense fear of heights. You have an intense fear of tall buildings. You have an intense fear of, okay. So in this one in particular, like I said, I would bet that you were probably only in your early 20s, 22, 23, 24. Because I also see the year 1900s like super, super clear. So I'm going to say you probably were 22 or 23. This is in... So because I've never been to New York, and because I haven't done a lot of research on it, I can't say if this is New York or Chicago. The scenery is super similar, especially the downtown with the cars with... No. You are absolutely a doer in this life. Like, you literally were working probably from the time you could walk. I don't see parents here. I don't see guides here. I don't see... I have a feeling that that your last name is going to be a Celtic or Irish derivative, because I don't see you being treated very well. I don't see you being accepted. There's something also with your speech, with your... It's not an impediment. It's just like your accent or something. So I have a feeling that your parents came over here, and maybe you were little bitty when you came over here. That may be why 1900 is popping up. That may not be the year you were born. It may be the year your parents came over here with you. But I am going to say this. There's a lot of like work. Like, you had a very, very hard life as far as just continually working. So you never got to see any good of anything. You never got to have a break. You never got to really celebrate, go out. You never got to do any of... You just worked all the fucking time. You just worked. So like, it was a very... Your soul doesn't understand this life still, okay? So let me say this. We, in the circle of things, we have lives where we have to experience very hard, intense things. Very hard, intense things. I'm having a hot flash and it's not very fun. So in this life in particular, you had to experience some very hard, intense conditions and very hard, intense things. There was not really a lot of happiness or pleasure in this life at all. So now you're searching for that in your life today. You're trying to find this happiness, this way of letting this go. So even though I don't think in the life you have right now, you had this hardcore of a life, okay? You still feel like you did. Like, your soul takes a long time to just process and go through things. So even though this was so long ago, you took a long time in between, you're still carrying a lot of this, like, I'm still processing. I'm still wrapping my brain around all of this. So you have this intense desire to just be doing something all the time. I would bet you have a very, very a severe issue with letting yourself relax. I would bet that even when you're trying to watch TV, watch a movie, you feel like you have to be doing 6 other things. You feel like you have to be listening to an audiobook while you're reading another book, while you're doing something. Like, you have to be doing all these things because you feel like if you don't keep working, you're going to get in trouble. Does that make sense? But it's become an addiction. And the reason that it's popping up again now is because you would beat yourself up anytime you weren't working. And so now in this life, especially right now, anytime you try to relax, you feel like you're wrong. You feel like you've got to do something, like you shouldn't be wasting this time. So here's what I'm going to tell you, Miss Julia. Because of what I see on these healing cards right here, the flower of life is also a cocoon stage. This self-love and this flower of life aspect, thank you guys for all the gifts. Honey, the life that you're in right now, and the reason that this particular is popping up right now is because you're in a phase where you understand enough about yourself in the meat sack you're in now to be able to cocoon yourself a little bit. You don't have to work as hard as you did there. You don't have to miss out on all the happiness and the good parts of life. You don't have to be addicted to continually going. I would also bet that you've had a lot of things pop up where you've been seeing this pattern. I would bet you've also had a lot of things pop up where you've been seeing butterflies, where you've been seeing cocoons, where you've been seeing things, babies nestled in, you know, like just papoosed all up there. And I would bet that you've been catching yourself sleeping in a ball. I would bet that you've been catching yourself sleeping curled up like this in a protective position. Right now, you're at a phase in your current life where you're able to relax and let go and be in this cocoon. And if you need to hermit, but this self-love aspect and trying to break yourself of this right here is going to help your soul process this, because your soul still doesn't quite understand, like, wait, why did I have a life like that where it was just so hard? I worked all the time and then I died really young. Well, I say really young. I mean, 20, 22, 23, 24. That's pretty fucking young. So why did I have this life? Your soul's still processing this. I will also say this, because of the 1s and because of the 3s here, you aren't really meant to have at this point in your life, you're meant to be number one. You're meant to be alone. You're meant to be helping your own self to deal with some of this. Because I don't see, even as a kid in this life, you getting a lot of help with anything. You know, I'd bet in the life that you're in now, you also, as a kid, weren't really allowed to talk about a lot of feelings. So, Miss Julia, I don't know if you're here or if you're on YouTube, you're going to watch this later, whatever. But what I'm going to recommend is this. Pay attention when you see the flower of life pattern. Pay attention when you're seeing butterflies. Pay attention when you're seeing cocoons. And know that that is a symbol that it's time for you to pause for a minute, to take a breath for a minute, to kind of step back from whatever rush, hurry thing you're in. The other thing is this. You're not going to get over this intense fear of heights, and you're not going to get over this intense fear of falling, and you're not going to get over the falling dreams, and you're not going to get over those things anytime soon. Okay? They're going to happen because you are still trying to deal with what happened in this past life. Okay? Miss Sarah, thank you for subscribing. I saw 13 months. Holy shit. Thank you so much. Give yourself time to cocoon and just to breathe, okay? Don't stress about trying to get over these fears just yet, all right? Miss Christina, thank you for subscribing. 4 months. You are so welcome, sweetie. I didn't know if you were here or if you were on YouTube or going to watch this later. Does that make sense to you? I'm about to place an order for new mugs for this year. I can't wait. So I carry these every fall. I love them. Aw. Thank you, love. Miss Bitsy Poo, are you ready? Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I was waiting to see if it made sense to you. Hey, thank you, Martha. This one is very kind of straightforward. Okay. Thank you. So, you start off with the thinker, which is knowledge and instruction. The two cards that you pulled at first were addiction and envious gluttony. I needed a third one because I needed clarification on something, and it was artificial heart. We're going to talk about the healing card last, okay? So in this one right here, you were a twin, okay? A set of fraternal twins, not identical. And I'd be curious to know if you had issues with your lungs when you were younger. Both you and your twin brother came down with a really intense fever. And you actually passed away when you were about 3.5, 4 years old. He lived, but had a severe disability ever since. I'm going to put this one in the late 1800s, 1888, 1889. And you were born to a pretty affluent, very well-to-do family in the Carolinas. Big house. And the two of you, both you and your brother, were kind of doted over. Like the time that you were here was a very, very amazing childhood. But because you were a twin, so when we pass away, we kind of get the opportunity to, even though we are dealing with some of the things that we're dealing with, the debriefing from this life, we also get the opportunity to stay as a spirit guide for those that we love. And that's exactly what you did, was stay for a while as a spirit guide for your brother. But it got to the point where you got jealous that he was still there, that he still was, you know, with your parents. It did absolutely crush your mother to lose you, just so you know. But you got to the point where you drifted away as a spirit guide because you started to feel that feeling of it being unfair. And I understand that. I think anyone would understand that. So a lot of times now in this life, the reason this one's affecting you really bad right now, and we're going to talk about this healing card in a minute. The reason this one's affecting you right now, it's affected you your whole life. I have a feeling that you've had a life in between this one and the one you're in now. Like a rebound life, you know what I'm talking about? Like, well, that wasn't fair. I want a do-over, and just a rebound life, really, you know, like just a quick fling. But with this one right here, of course, at 3.5, 4 years old, you don't understand it being unfair, but seeing it from the other side and watching, there was this feeling of unfairness. So you have a hard time fully believing that someone cares about you. You have a hard time fully believing that someone would miss you if you weren't here. Like, you really have a hard time. You have a hard time with that. It's not that you have a hard time believing people would love you. It's that you just believe that, not you believe, you just have a hard time accepting that people love you the way they say they do. Because when you're watching from afar, you know, all of your room gets shut off. Your toys get shut off. You're never mentioned. Your pictures are covered. Your, you know, it's just like suddenly you're shut off and you didn't exist. That hurts a soul. It hurts a kid. It hurts, you know what I mean? It hurts. So the fact that you watched that after you were gone, it left a mark. And so part of the reason that you feel like you can't ever truly believe that someone cares about you all the way, and part of the reason that you feel like it's not that you never belong somewhere, but it's like you never belong somewhere, that you always feel like you're searching for this other place. And the reason that right now, as your typhoid. Okay. So I'm going to tell you, we'll talk about that in a second. Your twin brother here, he didn't live a very long life either. He didn't live to be past 17 because of complications from this. Okay. So you have a soft spot for kiddos around 3, 4 years old. Okay. To be honest, that is a fun age. So part of the reason that you are dealing with a lot of the issues you are now, and that you feel like you're pulled in all the different ways spiritually, and you can't like land on a branch. It's like you're constantly swinging from this branch to this branch to this branch, is because of this card right here. So this is the Merkaba. So this is healing on all levels. I would highly advise, if you don't already have stones that are in a Merkaba shape, I would get you one. I would get you one. There's a lot of fantastic Merkaba meditations on YouTube. But I will tell you that if you, and this is for all of you that want to do some really intense healing, the Merkaba healing things on YouTube, sleep to a couple of them, listen to them, then, you know, for a few minutes before you decide if that's the one you're going to listen to for the night. Listen to it for just, you know, a few seconds and then skip to the middle, okay? Because if you get to the middle and you're like, oh my God, that's abrasive, don't sleep to that one, okay? But with the Merkaba itself, working with that energy, if you work with or you listen to on YouTube, there are some meditations, some frequency musics that are 333, 333, and 3333, like all the threes, okay? If you find a couple of those, that will also help you with the Merkaba healing, okay? Those are just the first places to start, let me say that. But I don't think that you're going to currently right now in this life make a dent in this feeling like you can't really completely believe that someone loves you the way they love you, but you will, okay? It is something that you're going to heal in this life, and the people that are in your life now are the ones that are supposed to help you do it. There are 4 people in particular that are in your life right now that are supposed to be there now to help you heal this part, okay? We all have lives where we don't live very long. It just is. It just is. It's something we have to experience. Does it make it fair? No. Does it make it right? No. But it is. It just is. So I would do a lot of work. I don't know if you sleep to frequencies or if you can sleep to music or anything. Oh, Miss Megan, thank you so much for the galaxy, sugar. I appreciate that. I don't know if you sleep to frequencies or anything like that, but if nothing else, listen to him during the day, okay? Listen to him during the day. Your spiritual advisor is prescribing you some nap time during the day to listen to these. If you can do it while you sleep, the Merkaba things are better because your body isn't fighting all of that, okay? Thank you, Shades of the Heart. I appreciate that. Am I right? Am I right? Shades of the Beast. My sorry. Thank you, sweetie. So, did that make sense, Miss Bitsy? I'm so sorry, Rose. Big hugs, sweetie. Aw, please don't tell Scott I broke you. He's never going to let you come back. He's never going to let you hang out with me again. Oh, shit. All right, Miss Samantha Perez, you are my last one this evening. Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. I'm sorry. He's ready to send you back. Well, come on. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's funny. Woo, okay. Okay. And here comes Samantha. Got to show out. Love you right back. Gavin, how are you, honey? All right. You want to flee for it and live in the shop? I don't know. Y'all can ask Leanne. With all the construction going on, the shop and the apartment upstairs, we've had some intense activity. Just saying. Lots of threes. 3, 30, and 13. Okay. All right, Miss Samantha. All the feminine here. So this one is, you start with the Lady of Mask, which is vanity, reclaiming yourself, and surface appearance. And then you have Is This Me? You have Calling the Storm. And then you have Obsession. All different moon phases. This life is kind of all over the place. This is a very nomadic life. I'm just letting you know. I don't understand a lot of the things I'm seeing, so I'm going to describe them and hopefully you understand them or they resonate with you, because I have a feeling you see these things in your dreams. I have a feeling that you see them when you meditate, because this is actually a life where you felt extremely powerful. You felt extremely powerful as a woman. I actually have cold chills now, so we're going to put this back on. So what's interesting about this life is this is, I'm going to say it's Middle East, but it's also around the Mediterranean. So there's a lot of travel here. There's no, let me say this, there's no home. There's no home. It's all movement. Even from the time like you're born, it's like you're born on the move. You stay on the move your whole time. Not because you're running from something. It's just your family and the group that you're with is just nomadic. You're just continually traveling. But I get the feel that your performers, you're somehow, it's almost like traveling royalty. And I don't know how to explain it. And here's why I say this. And I have a feeling that this is probably, I'm going to say probably late 1600s, early 1700s. But because here's what I see. I just keep seeing this same thing over and over and over. And it's like, whatever this tint is I'm seeing inside, the top, the colors are bright. They're really bold and bright, like red, purple, gold, white. They're really, really bright and silk, satiny, like expensive material. Like this is like something you would see in a movie. And people are coming in and out like this. So I don't know what this performance is, but it's a very small thing. You're raised in this, you're raised to do this. All the women in your family are treated like royalty, like it's a very matriarchal little nomadic family that moves around. But it's a caravan of you. It's not just one single family, like it's a group. 15 to 20 families moving around like this. Just moving. But there's a lot of performance. There's a lot of flash. There's a lot of flow. Like I keep seeing all this flowing material, like all this beautiful flowing material. So I wish I was more familiar. I wish I was more familiar with some of the things in that area. I took a lot of art history classes, but that doesn't really help me a lot at this instant. But it's almost like your whole life was spent on the move from, to be honest, probably starting or somewhere around Northern Africa, Egypt area, but not staying there, like completely moving up around the Mediterranean like this, because I see a lot of Turkish architecture and I see a lot of domed temples, domed buildings. So there's a lot of movement. But with this family, with this nomadic family, even though there's no home, there's never anything you're wanting for. Like you are extremely well taken care of. You are the only daughter. It's like the matriarchal society, like they have one daughter and they stop. That's it. Like if the daughter is first, then there's no more children. If there's a son, and then a daughter, they stop. If there's a son and then a daughter, it's weird. It's like once they have a girl, they stop. It's like that first daughter. It's super important. The 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's super important. but there's always food. There's always clothing. You're always protected. Like it's really interesting. I almost have a feeling that whatever this performance is, it's almost revered in a way. Like you're really, really revered whenever you guys come into those towns. Everybody knows who you are. So this right here, this is a fantastic life. Because you are the first daughter of the first daughter of the first daughter of the first daughter, and you're highly revered as that. But what's interesting is you have a first daughter. You only have one, just a daughter. That's it. But after that, it's black. Like I don't see anything. So I don't know what happens, but the line ends with your daughter. The power ends with your daughter is what I heard. I don't understand that. So I assume something happens with that. It just ends the whole lineage. It's like there was a golden age and you were right there at the end of it. Someone that's more familiar with the history of the Mediterranean and history in that time, or if you're listening or you're listening on YouTube later, I would research that time, like late 1600s, like 1680s to early 1700. I mean, you really lived a fantastic life, to be honest. Always on the go, seeing exotic places, very highly revered, never really wanting for anything. You lived a really decent life, passed away in your sleep. Like, I mean, the problem is though, you miss this. You miss this a lot. This was one of your soul's favorite things. This was one of your soul's favorite times. So you now in this meat sack, you have this need, this want to go. And you can't. You have to stay put. Because this right here, the reason I say that is this is the flower of life, and this is that cocoon stage. You're in a cocoon stage right now. So here's what I'm going to recommend. Because of this specific imagery I saw, because of this specific date or dates, timeline, etc. that I saw, I would highly recommend A, looking into your DNA and your family, and B, studying some history of that area. Okay? Studying some history of that area. It will absolutely help you understand what this is. Okay? And again, I'm seeing the top of that tent with the beautiful bright colors. I'm also seeing a very, I don't know if this is the top of a coach or I don't know what I'm seeing, but it's the top of something. My brain is wanting to liken it to the top of those very ornate player organs, but it's not an organ, but it's on the top of something. I don't know. It's this big, almost like gold paint. I don't know. It's huge. It's like this tall, really wide. It's this ornate filigree stuff. I keep seeing that as well, but I don't know what that is. So I would study some of the history of that area. All along that bend of the Mediterranean, that back bend back there. I would study the nomadic groups. I would study especially those that look into the ones that were very matriarchal societies. But this one doesn't have a lot of trauma associated with it. This one doesn't have a lot of pain associated with it. What the problem with this one is that you miss it. You miss it. Our soul, every one of us has a favorite life. Just like we've had a favorite class in school. We have a favorite life. I think this was one of yours. This was one of yours. So a lot of times, even though this is like a cocoon stage for you, and this is you kind of like, you know, being cocooned and learning and moving forward, it doesn't mean that you want to stay here. Thanks for the jellies, Kathy. It doesn't mean that you want to stay here. And I totally get that. I totally get that. So I would take some time and do some research, and I would absolutely do your DNA, and I would not be surprised if you find things there. I would not be surprised if you find things there. Let me do this, guys, because I see a lot of you guys asking about this. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could be like this trauma and that, but I can't. Like, this was like, I'm a little jealous myself. I'm a little jealous myself. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying. So since a lot of you guys were asking about this, I'll do this again next week. I'll just do these on Wednesday, but I'm letting you know I'm only going to do like 5 or 6 reads because they take a lot out of me. Like, they take a lot out of me. All right. So I put up an event for next Wednesday. There's one for October 4th and one for October 11th. I didn't know if I wanted to publish them just yet, but there you go. They're published. So if you guys want to grab a ticket, one of these for next week or the week after, go ahead and you might grab you one. I am doing Norse card reads this Thursday, tomorrow, and then on Friday we have some full moon workings. Like, I can't wait to burn some shit. I can't wait to burn some shit. I'm gonna be making candles at the shop tomorrow for it. I'm just saying what I'm saying. But Samantha, I think you've got all of us a little jealous right now. I'm just saying, I think you have all of us a little jealous, and I low-key kind of hate you right now. Not really. Okay. But yeah, that's not me, love. So yeah, she was absolutely like, hold my beer. That's not me, guys. If you have people requesting to be your friend that say they're me, especially while I'm on live right now, like, obviously not me. If you have people in your DMs saying that they're me, and especially if they start off with Grand Rising, that ought to let you know right there that is not me. And second of all, y'all, I don't even have time to fucking breathe most of the time, much less reach out to anybody to ask for a reading. Like, you can ask all my mods. Yeah, just please block them. Just please block them. Okay. Grand Rising, it is something that a lot of spiritual people say. It's just not something I say. I think the only time I've ever said that was in a, like, joking or in response to someone else, but very, very rarely. Very rarely. So yeah. Very rarely. Yeah. So when can you book for the next one? They are already up, and there are only 6 tickets. So if you guys would like one for next Wednesday, 1, 2, 3, go. There are also 6 up for October 11th. Yeah. So if you go to my link tree and you get the book for Book Bodhi's events, you'll just have to scroll down on the page there on my webpage. It's on the Blue Bodhi under events. But yeah, they'll fill up fast. All right, guys, I love you very much, and I am going to get off of YouTube over here. I'll see you guys tomorrow.